Alright. I'm not a big fan of this guy. In fact, I don't subscribe to his ideas at all. However, in
Atom
this
bomb could destroy a
particular
city, but
interview,
it can't
there are
decide by itself which city to bomb or why to bomb
really
it.
nice
And AI can
insight
do that.
shared,
And
and
there is a lot of high price.
particularly I want to pay attention to here. Uh, yeah, sensors.
This simulation theory is representing this new metaphor. The new metaphor is the cocoon. It's a web that turns on you and encloses you from all sides.
When the internet first came along, the main metaphor was the web, the World Wide Web, which connects everything. Now the main metaphor is a cocoon, a web that turns on you and encloses you from all sides. So you can no longer see anything outside. And then he goes on
So you can no longer see anything
to
outside. And there could be other cocoons
concepts
with
that
other
were
people
most
in there,
familiar
and
from
you
the
have no
movie
way
of
to get to them.
Matrix,
No,
as
nothing that happens in the world
originally.
can connect you anymore because you're in different
So
cocoons.
You've only got to look at someone else's phone. You've
yes,
only got to look
is
at someone
them
else's
this
Twitter or
first.
X or Instagram.
It's the reality. Plato wrote exactly about that. In the most famous parable, I think, from Greek philosophy, is the allegory of the cave, in which Plato imagines a theoretical scenario, an imaginary scenario of a group of prisoners chained.
So Plato wrote about it in Allegory of the Cave, where prisoners chained
Inside the cave.
inside the cave mistake shadows on the wall for reality. Similarly, in ancient India, Buddhist and Hindu sages talk about Maya. So he goes on. So, what
Their
particularly
face to a
interesting
blank wall
here
in which shadows are being projected.
in relation to previous paragraph? Okay, so he considers the matrix to be not virtual reality, not something advanced future technology like we think of some pods where machines in the matrix put the people and it becomes indistinguishable from the real experience. So his idea here, he suggests the matrix we live in is created by this internet by our phones, that we live already inside of this cocoon of information, that algorithms and social networks, they enslave, they capture us inside of this bubble. And this is the matrix we live in. And this is very unfortunately very powerful, unfortunately very real, very real. The internet that was supposed to connect us, so now it disconnects us. It wraps everyone with their own bubble, and later on he goes. So in this interview, so they share experience in the same event, different accounts and social networks show totally different point of view, and that makes people, everyone, to live in their own world. So we are not understanding each other anymore. So yeah, this this is what happened. And that's how we find ourselves enslaved in the matrix. That was not like the machines put people into the bots and all the memories of people were erased. It was very gradual progress as we begin from our phones that we hold in our hand, and then as screen, like if you think of physical sense, if you continuously increase the size of the screen, that's what happened. Eventually, you become find yourself surrounded with this big screen that's all around you, and you just cannot see what is behind it. This physical example might be far-fetched, but in sense of mental, our world is mental. That's what happened when we cannot perceive the reality anymore where we exist, where we lose ourselves in our own creation. That is, the AI that we create eventually it grows so big that it like all the content that it produce, it just overlaps, intensifies, and just overwhelms us. It's so dense that we cannot see what's beyond it. And it all starts with a phone in our hand. That's an idea. And then he goes on to the idea of, and again, in Plato, this fire was in cave in the same physical space with prisoners. So then we go on this idea in Hinduism that God, he creates the world, and then he goes on like Shiva, he go to play inside of the world and forget himself. And the war is such a thing that it cannot exist any other way unless it's being um, animated by God Himself. If we look at Nordic tradition of uh, more familiar like a Christian idea of a famous the core of the Bible that says that God loves the world. He gave His only Son. But it's not was just spontaneous decision to give His only Son, because the other part of the Bible it says that His Son was from before the creation of the world. He was and he was to become sacrifice on the world, and because of everything exists in him, through his sacrifice we can live. So what it means is syncretism follows stories that the world is animated by the Spirit of God who sacrificed himself. So God here sacrificed his divinity to become human. And that's how the world becomes real, because only God is real. When God sacrifices real, real, real existence to experience the Maya, then what it appears to be real, the Maya becomes real, becomes something that God actually can love. This idea, right? This sacrifice is essential forgetfulness of God of Himself to lose Himself in the world. That's very real. What happens today with us when we create the AI that we begin to interact with, and soon we find ourselves lost in its nets. Yeah, so this is not something that we can fear. It's just the idea. That's just, he said, it's very ancient fear. And actually, this fear, it's ancient, it's very deep inside of subconscious. So what I will speak about here is not something real, it's just a fear that can be released. And if you want to find yourself free, if like if you find yourself living inside of the illusion, inside of the opinions of about others, what other things was like what is if you spend time inside of social networks, you lose the sense of the real world. You lose the experience, the sense, the sense, the sensitivity of experience of the real world. There is still a chance to restore the sensitivity to experience the real world. If you need help, here is the link is below. It's a free consultation, and I always here for you. Again, this yeah, very interesting, very cool.